everyone. Come on in because we are here to finally wrap up and talk about the We Belong Together Ashanti series on Peacock TV. And many of y'all told me, don't come back and do another review until you watch all of it. And then we want to hear what you got to say about Nelly. Because there are a lot of people out here who believe that Nelly is selfish, that Nelly is controlling, that Nelly is this, Nelly is that. Nelly don't want no baby. Nelly don't want to change no diapers. Nelly is singing at the Trump inauguration. And before I could talk about it, y'all said I had to watch the whole series. And then so now I'm here. I'm back. I did what y'all told me to do. I watched the whole thing, all 8 episodes. Now I'm back. And guess what? Guess what? I'm doubling down. I love them together. I love Nelly and Ashanti together. And listen, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about how 2 things can happen. One is, after I watch the whole series, I can see a little bit of what you guys saw. So we're going to talk about, I'm going to give some validation to some of your remarks around Nelly and the baby, but I'm going to talk about what I saw. But I'm still going to double down and say I'm really excited for these 2. I'm really hopeful for these 2. And I think they're going to make it. And I'm going to tell you why. First of all, if any of you guys watch my episodes, you know I'm all about motivations. I'm not just about the emotion or the behavior on the first layer, the one that everyone presents to you, the one that you guys say, well, Nelly don't want to have nothing to do with the baby. He don't want to change no diapers. I want to go layers deeper and talk about how both Nelly and Ashanti got here. So first of all, I want to say this out the gate. Nelly loved that woman. I don't care what y'all say. Nelly loves this woman, Ashanti, and he loves her a lot. And I'm going to go so far as to say that Ashanti was Nelly's really first love. And I'm going to go so far as to say that the type of love that I see Nelly having for Ashanti is the type of love that he had when he was young. They couldn't hold it together. We're going to talk about that. They were too young. They were both immature. They both didn't have any conflict resolution skills. She was from New York. He was from St. Louis. He was a rapper. It was a lot going on. And they didn't know how to resolve conflict. They didn't know how to control their emotions. And they didn't know how to control those trauma and toxic parts of themselves they brought into the relationship. And it was just combustible. It was too much for 2 young people to handle. But they got a second chance. They spun the block. I know people don't like spinning the block. I spun the block one time. It didn't work out well either. It didn't work out well. But let me tell you why I think spinning the block doesn't work out well for most people. Doesn't mean it can't work. It doesn't work for most people because most people, once they've completed the block and they break up, most people never actually work on the things that broke up the relationship in the first place. What most people do is they go on the merry-go-round once with a person, they break up, they go off and they date other people, they don't change, they don't grow, they don't mature. Then they come back and they spin the block again, the same old people. And of course it doesn't work. Spinning the block only works if you spin the block or you go around the block, you go away, you heal, you fix all the things that were toxic about you that you brought into the relationship. This is both men and women. And then you come back together in a more healed state. That's the only time it works. But most of the time, people don't do that, including my own episode. My own episode of Spin the Block, you know what? I didn't come back no different and neither did he. So it was an utter failure. But that doesn't mean Spin the Block doesn't work. Okay. So this is what I want to say. I want to say that Nelly really loves Ashanti a lot. A lot. He loves her a lot. And I almost want to say that viscerally, I believe that the type of love that Nelly has for Ashanti, and I don't want to take anything away from his baby mamas, I'm not quite sure it's the same. I think it's a deeper love. And I think that's why he married her. Okay. And I bet a lot of the baby mamas are looking at Nelly with Ashanti and saying, wow, he wasn't that way with me. He wasn't that way with me. But I want to talk about why, because even some of those things you see in Nelly, when you guys were saying he doesn't want to have anything to do with the baby, this and that, we're going to talk about it more in depth. But the first thing I want to say is what I realized about Nelly is a relationship guy, y'all. He may be a rapper, he may be in this world where there are a lot of women, but he is a relationship minded man. And the reason why I'm saying this and I believe this is because the relationships that he has been in have been long and lengthy. If you look at Nelly's relationships, sure, he might have had one night stands or girls over here, but he committed to a lot of the women in his life for long periods of time. And when I say long periods of time, I say more than 1 year. Some of Nelly's relationships were lasting 5, 6, 7, 8 years. He's a relationship guy. And the other reason why I want to say he's a relationship guy is because look at everyone else around Nelly. I saw an episode with he's really still close and tight with the Saint Lunatics. That's about relationships. He has a lot of business relationships that he's been in business with people for years. Nelly keeps relationships together. He's a relationship guy. The reason why I believe Nelly is a relationship guy is also what I think you guys are seeing in this sort of situation with the baby. I believe Nelly, and he's very honest about it. He talks about his childhood. He talks about not really getting the nurturing as a young boy, a young man from his mother that he would like. This is no blame on the mother. This is why I want mothers to stop thinking everyone picks on them. But he didn't get it. Either because she couldn't afford it, either because she had her own issues going on. But whatever the case, Nelly always describes his childhood, his upbringing as rough, tough, not having a lot of nurturing, not having a lot of people to care for him. He had to learn to care for himself. He was alone. See, what I keep telling people out here when I tell people to start looking at people's motivations is you can't, just because you see a behavior on the outside, what people have to start doing if you want to be in relationships is you've got to develop a more keen sense of understanding why people got a certain way. When you see anger, you've got to put a lot of emphasis and try to understand why a person has anger. When you see the behavior that you see, when you say Nelly doesn't want to have anything to do with the baby, he doesn't want to change the diaper, you've got to go deeper. You got to understand why. And you may say, well, I don't need to do that. You do. You do need to do that because let me tell you, the why is what changes the way that you respond to behavior that you did not like. Hear me out. Hear me out. It's not excusing the behavior. When you excuse behavior you don't like, that's putting a period on it. That's saying, you know what? I saw this bad behavior I don't like, or I saw behavior I don't like. I'm going to excuse it away. That puts a period on it. That's closing the book. That's not going a layer deeper. Understanding someone, taking time to understand their motivations, their origins, is you have to say, I saw some behavior that I didn't like, but I'm not going to put a period on it and excuse it. But what I want to understand is why did you do it? Why do you feel that way? What's the real reason? Because if I can know the real reason, then you might be surprised upon the solutions. And what I believe is going on with Nelly and the baby, and you hear it oftentimes in his speech, is Nelly looks at Ashanti as the woman that I've always loved, that I've always wanted. And now that I have her here and I'm married to her, there is a part of Nelly that wants Ashanti all to himself. That's what I'm saying. And I don't want people to think this is any different from a lot of other men. I think what Nelly is just really open and honest, and a lot of people can't take honesty. But it's good to have honesty because at least you can explore those honest moments he is saying. And I believe that Nelly, in a lot of ways, is just like a lot of men. I hate to tell you this, ladies. I know a lot of you don't want to hear it. But the love that you have for your child may not always look and feel the same way than a man with their child. But men love women. They can love on a wife. They can love on a wife. And in their eyes, they believe that the wife comes first over the children and that the man should come first in the woman's life. Now, ladies, I know we differ. I know a lot of times women put their children in front of their husbands, but men more often put the woman in front of the children. Now, I'm not talking about whether you like it. I'm just talking about the way it looks. This is why oftentimes men can more easily, I'm just going to say more easily, abandon their children after they break up with a woman because those children are so closely tied to the woman and his feelings for the woman. A woman, even if she breaks up with a man, cannot even fathom the idea that they will leave their children. But with a man, unfortunately, ladies, and this isn't just reserved for one ethnic group. Do men not always abandon their children? Of course they don't. Because what kicks in with a lot of men is responsibility. That's what kicks in. What kicks in for men is, yeah, their love for their child. But what also kicks in for man is I also have a responsibility. And then what those men are able to do is, even though I'm not with the woman, listen to me, even though I'm not with the woman, I'm not going to abandon my responsibility to take care of a child that is mine, but I also love that child. Got it. You see, but what kicks in for a man is more of this logical part that talks about his responsibility. But when a woman leaves a man, she's not saying, oh, I got to keep taking care of my child because of my responsibilities. Nah, she's going off the fact that I got to take care of my child because of an emotion, a feeling. I don't even feel like I even have a choice. It ain't even about I got a choice to be responsible or not responsible. A woman is bonded to her child so completely differently. So this is what I want to get back to with Nelly, what I'm seeing differently. I see, and this is where I'm going to validate some of y'all's comments. I see what you're saying, where you believe there is some part of Nelly where he doesn't want to share Ashanti as much with the baby. Y'all are calling it selfish. I'm calling it he doesn't want to share her as much. And if any woman has had a baby with a man that's still in the house or still she's married, you will know that oftentimes when a baby comes to a house, a man can go through different emotions because what he feels is, I am now sharing my wife with this other human being. It doesn't mean your man does not love your baby, but inherently in men, he got married to you because he loves you, he wants you, and yes, he is having to deal with the fact that now he has to share you. And what he is dealing with also is seeing that, wow, I am no longer number one in my wife's eyes. It's this baby. Y'all can call it selfish if you want to. I'm okay with whatever word you want to put on it. But what I'm going to put on it also is not completely selfishness on Nelly's part. And the reason why I'm not going to do that is because of Nelly's backstory. Nelly's backstory is he always spoke about that one of the reasons why he really, really loved Ashanti and her family was because they were so tight knit, because he loved the togetherness of Ashanti's family. But at the same time, he didn't get that growing up. So here we are. We have a man in Nelly who sees what Ashanti has in her family. He sees what Ashanti's family has built, the togetherness, the camaraderie, the love, all of that family unit. He likes it. He wants it. He admires it in Ashanti. Good. I'm going to marry Ashanti because I want part of that. But what he doesn't know how to do is he doesn't necessarily know how to build it. It's no different from a man or a woman knowing they want a marriage, but never having seen the work it takes to build a strong marriage. They see a strong couple and say, I want that. But they don't see the things you have to do, the sacrifices you have to make in order to build that marriage. So now you have Nelly, loves Ashanti, marries her. He wants a family. Just like Ashanti's family has built this family, he wants it. He desires it. But he's never seen the work and what it takes to do it. So now there comes a baby along. A baby comes along. Nelly loves the baby. He wants the baby. He wants family. So when y'all are saying that he's selfish, it's not just selfishness. One part of it is two things. One is he doesn't really know how to build family in that way because he's never had a blueprint. He's never done it. So he's going to look to Ashanti in the lead in that area. He talks about it. He said Ashanti knows how to pull the family together. She knows how to have family events. She knows how to do family gatherings. Nelly has been missing that all in his life. He never had it. He never had anyone make him feel that kind of way. And he loves that part of Ashanti. But what he's never seen is all the work it takes to get there. And in that work, what Ashanti is saying is part of that work, Nelly, will be that in order to build a strong family bond, you also have to spend quality time. And this is what I'm saying. So when I told y'all last time that changing a diaper doesn't have to be the way that they build family bonding time, but the lesson for Nelly is you do have to spend bonding time. I don't agree that it has to be in the exact form of changing diapers. I still don't agree with that. But what Nelly has to be taught is that if you like what I got, Nelly, and you like what my family has built, then you kind of got to do some of the things we did to get here, you see? And that is the part where Nelly does have to learn and grow. And unfortunately, that is the part that Ashanti will have to teach Nelly because there's no one else to teach him. Now, the other reason I'm not going to call Nelly selfish is because when I look at the course of his life, Nelly has provided for a lot of people. And I can tell that he still provides a lot for his children. And I could tell that he still provides a lot for his mother, his grandmother, and a lot of people, which means Nelly has grown up all his life first as a child, not being provided for. He wasn't provided for as a child. He was on his own. He had to make a lot of things happen in his life. He grows up. He makes a lot of money. He's got to learn now to provide for other people, even when he wasn't provided for as a child. He meets Ashanti. Now, it's interesting when you hear Ashanti's and Nelly's dating history. They both agree on why they split up. There doesn't seem to be much disagreement, and there's enough blame to go around. What is described is that Ashanti was spoiled. She was a girl who was raised not wanting anything. Her parents gave her everything she wanted. Her mother waited on her hand and foot. Nelly had to scrap for everything he got. There was no one there to care for him. You get a spoiled princess coming together with a man who had to earn and work hard and scrap for everything. They clashed. Even Ashanti said that when they were dating, when they were younger, Nelly actually was going to propose to her. He had gone to the jewelry store and picked out a ring. But what Ashanti said was, I don't want a ring less than 10 carats. This is what Ashanti told Nelly back when she was 20 years old. This is now, 20 years ago. Nelly's thinking, he from the streets. You need a 10-carat diamond ring for me to propose to you? This was some of their battles. But in their battles of Ashanti being spoiled and Nelly feeling in a kind of way that Ashanti was spoiled and he having a temper, they didn't know how to express their emotions. They didn't know how to have conflict resolution. It didn't work. But remember, Nelly grew up scrapping. Ashanti grew up with a silver spoon in her mouth. Nelly is saying that when he finally got with Ashanti, another reason why he loves her is because I think Nelly also feels as this is the first time in his life where there is a partner that he has, a woman, that can provide and love on him in ways in which he's had to do to other people. Imagine this. Imagine you grew up poor, scrapping all your life. No one gave you anything. You grow up, you become rich. You now have to provide for everyone because you're the one that made it. Everyone. There's a lot of people riding your coattails that you have to provide for. Even in your dating life, most of the time you are dating women who you have to provide for because they don't have the wealth that you have. Here comes Ashanti. She has her own wealth. Is she as wealthy as him? No. But she has enough wealth that she can go out and buy him a nice car for his birthday. She can buy him nice jewelry. She can throw him nice birthday parties. Nelly is saying he's never had any of this. He's never had anyone give him this much attention, this much love, this much doting on him. And so a lot of you look at Nelly as being selfish because you see him sucking it up and enjoying it. But listen, this is a long time coming. Nelly is saying, I ain't never had this. So am I going to relish in it? Am I going to feel good in it and roll around in it and be happy with it? I sure am. He's going to love it. He's going to love having all this attention from Ashanti because he's never had it in his whole life. And then a baby comes. And all of a sudden, everything that he's been enjoying and loving on and been like, I never had any of this. Now what he sees is that money, that love, that attention that was all coming towards him. He's starting to see some of it go towards his baby, which is KK. So is there an underlying bit of envy? There may be, just like there is with a lot of men. But this doesn't mean you throw out Nelly. It means you got to understand people's emotions. You just can't look at what they do. You got to understand their perspective, because once you understand their perspective, it helps guide you on the way that you deal with it. You see? Even the way I'm explaining to you all, in one way, everybody's out here talking about Ashanti should leave Nelly. Well, why should you do that? Why should you do that? Wouldn't you think that a man who grew up poor, scrapping for everything, who had to then provide for kids and wives and mothers and grandmothers and brothers and sisters, what's wrong with understanding that when he got older, he also wanted someone to dote on him like that? What's wrong with that? Does it make him selfish? No, it doesn't make him selfish. You know, Ashanti fessed up and she said, yeah, we were young. She said she had a very vulgar mouth. She's from New York. She had a lot of lip. Nelly, on the other hand, he's a rapper. He said that wasn't going to fly with me. And they clashed. They were young. They didn't know how to communicate. They didn't know how to conflict resolve issues. Nelly said he was into himself. Ashanti, she was into herself. That is what it is. But now that they're older and they've spun the block, I think they both learned a few things. Let me tell you what I think they both learned. One is, I think Ashanti she went out and she had different dating experiences. And for what I can see, Ashanti didn't have long relationships. She didn't date nobody for 6, 7 years. She had a lot of 1-year relationships, right? So, and I would also imagine that Ashanti, maybe when she was younger, she was spoiled and people gave her everything she wanted. But as she became older and she made money, guess what she had to turn into? She had to turn into a sharer. She had to turn into probably even supporting her parents. I know her mother works for her. She pays her mama. I wouldn't be surprised if she helps out other family members. So Ashanti had to go from this spoiled little girl to growing up and becoming a woman and being responsible to other people as well, which is something that Nelly said he didn't like about her when she was younger. She was spoiled. She wanted everyone to do for her, but she didn't want to do anything else for everyone else. And Nelly grew up having to do everything for everyone else. Imagine a spoiled lady wanting you to do everything for them. Give me a 10-carat diamond ring, but yet that same woman doesn't want to do anything for you. And you growing up having to do everything for everyone else and no one ever doing anything for you. Now they're older. Ashanti's had to grow into a different role of sometimes being a provider. Nelly is older. He's also had to grow into different roles. He's had to learn to be more patient, right? He's had to learn to not go from 0 to 100. He's had to learn to express his emotions and his feelings. And now, in his 50-year-old self, he is expressing some of his emotions and feelings, and people are judging him for it. You know, a lot of people were mad because Nelly sang at the inauguration, or performed, I should say, at the inauguration of Donald Trump. Well, let me tell you something. A lot of your boyfriends and husbands voted for Donald Trump because there's no other way that Donald Trump got into office. So some of you people need to just be able to handle the truth. A lot of men voted for Donald Trump. They may not have told you, right? They may have told you they voted for Kamala Harris. They didn't. They voted for Donald Trump because the polls showed it. And in addition to, some men who didn't vote for Donald Trump, but didn't want to vote for Kamala Harris, didn't vote at all. So if y'all want to get mad at Nelly for either performing at his inauguration or voting him for whatever else, then I guess you're going to be mad at a lot of other men out here, because the polls don't lie, the statistics don't lie, and a lot of people voted for Donald Trump, and they didn't tell you they did. They hid. And the people who didn't really want to vote for Kamala Harris just didn't vote at all. So get over it, get with it, learn how to have conversations. Learn how to go deeper than your first level primary juvenile emotion of anger. Don't put a period on anger. Go further, explore, try to understand why people do what they do. And maybe you might learn something along the way. It doesn't mean you agree. Agreement doesn't have to be the goal, but it always is a good thing to try to understand what motivated someone to do something, to say something, to be something, because in understanding their motivations, you'll understand how to relate to them, how to react to them, how to deal with them. So I think in this case, spin the block was good. Ashanti learned that money don't grow on trees. Ashanti learned that it's not all about her. Ashanti learned that she has to have better conflict resolution skills. Nelly learned that he always can't live necessarily with that sort of poor man's mentality, right? I think he probably learned how to enjoy his life a little bit more and not be so afraid of going broke again. That probably loosened him up. And I think what he learned also was a level of compromise. But in that, I think he still has boundaries. Now, I think they can grow and I think they can learn. Even in this decision of where they're going to live, it seems as if they're all coming around. They're coming up with the rich man solution, which is we don't have to pick one spot to live in. We can live in New York sometimes. We can live in St. Louis sometimes. But what Nelly is saying is, I'm not going to own any property in New York. I'm not paying no luxury tax in New York. I'm not going to say that's my home and have to file taxes in New York and all that comes with it. Nah, but we can visit. Okay, we could do separate things. There's a business aspect to that, and that's what Nelly is talking about. It's just not all emotion. And what Ashanti's mother said, told Ashanti, her daughter, it doesn't really matter where you go, Ashanti. Wherever you go with my grandchild, I'm going to be right behind you. There it is. That's what I said long before I even saw the episode. Long before. So these are no problems, y'all. So everybody out here talking about divorce, leave Nelly, don't spin the block. I'm sorry to say I disagree. I disagree with all those comments, and I'm rooting for them. And I sanction this spinning the block because I think they both have done enough growing and enough reflecting that they're going to be able to resolve some of the conflicts here in 2025 that they couldn't resolve prior to this time. So spinning the block, I sanction it. I support it. I hope it works. And I hope they grow. I hope they thrive. I don't know if Ashanti is going to want another baby. Maybe she will. Maybe she won't. But I hope that whatever they decide as a couple, that they're happy. But anyway, that's all I got, y'all, about the Ashanti and Nelly series. It was cute. I really enjoyed it. She laughed a lot. Nelly is funny to me. And I do hope that they get a season 2. I do. Anyway, that's it, y'all. Talk to you later. Bye.